Welcome back. Today's video is going to explore all of the most mysterious and highly sought after United States Abraham Lincoln wheat steel 1 cent from the year 1943. These coins have captured the imagination of collectors for decades, not only because of their unusual steel composition, but also because of the rare error conditions that make them worth staggering amounts in today's auction market. The first coin we'll examine is the 1943 Lincoln Wheat Steel 1 cent large date without mint mark coin in circulated color error condition. To understand why this coin is so valuable, we must go back to the time of its creation. During World War II, the United States was under immense pressure to conserve resources for the war effort. Copper, which was typically used to mint Lincoln cents, was needed in large quantities for ammunition and other military equipment. In 1943, the U.S. Mint decided to strike cents using zinc-coated steel instead of the traditional copper alloy. This was a radical departure from the familiar reddish-brown pennies Americans were used to. For a single year, the Lincoln wheat cent appeared in a silvery-gray metallic look that often confused people into mistaking it for a dime. These 1943 steel cents were produced in massive numbers, but, as history shows, certain variations and error conditions make specific coins from this year immensely rare and valuable. The Philadelphia Mint, which produced coins without any mint mark, struck the highest number of these steel cents in 1943. The mintage exceeded 684 million pieces, which at first might suggest that they are common and easy to find. Indeed, many circulated examples exist, and collectors often stumble upon them in old jars or inherited coin collections. However, when it comes to errors, the story takes an entirely different turn. Some of these coins experienced striking problems, planchet issues, or unusual coloration due to the zinc coating interacting with the steel base. Over time, the zinc would corrode or create a strange color shift, leading to what collectors call color errors. The coin we are focusing on today is exactly one of those cases, a 1943 large-date steel cent without mint mark, found in circulated condition, displaying a rare and significant color error. Instead of the typical bright silvery gray look, these coins can appear with darker, blotchy patches, rainbow-toned hues, or other unusual shades caused by chemical changes. This transforms what was a wartime emergency coin into a collector's prize worth far more than its humble face value. From a design perspective, the 1943 Lincoln cent carries the classic Victor David Brenner obverse portrait of Abraham Lincoln, first introduced in 1909. The words, "In God We Trust," are boldly struck above Lincoln's head. Liberty appears to the left, and the date, 1943, sits prominently to the right. On coins without mint marks, we know they were struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The reverse continues with Brenner's wheat ears design, framing the denomination 1 cent and United States of America, with the motto A Pluribus Unum above. This simple yet iconic design, paired with the unusual steel composition, makes the 1943 coins a standout in U.S. numismatic history. Yet what takes this particular example to another level is the error, the discoloration and toning that occurred due to imperfections during minting or chemical reactions afterward. These anomalies are not simply defects, they are unique fingerprints that make each coin one of a kind. Collectors today are intensely interested in these error examples, particularly when they retain strong detail despite circulation. In auction markets, color error 1943 steel cents without mint mark can command extraordinary sums, especially when authenticated by leading grading services. While a typical 1943 steel cent in circulated condition might fetch only a few dollars, an error coin with unusual coloring can skyrocket in price. Certain examples have been documented to sell for more than $50,000 when bidding wars erupt among collectors eager to own a piece of numismatic history with such distinct characteristics. The rarity factor here lies not just in the error, but in the survival of the coin in such noticeable condition despite heavy circulation. Every discoloration, every chemical shift makes the coin unique, giving it character and rarity that cannot be replicated. This coin represents more than a collectible. It embodies the wartime spirit of adaptation, the mistakes and oddities of mass production, and the modern fascination with errors. When you hold one of these coins, you are holding a piece of the 1940s, a reminder of a nation at war, and a mint scrambling to adjust to the needs of that time. For collectors, that connection adds to the allure. The market for such coins remains strong, as demand for 1943 error cents continues to rise among both seasoned numismatists and new investors seeking standout rarities. Realistically, a circulated color error 1943 Lincoln steel cent without mint mark can sell at auction for values that start in the tens of thousands and climb as high as $65,000 or more, depending on the intensity of bidding and the coin's visual appeal. These are not ordinary coins, they are auction stars, commanding the spotlight whenever they appear. Now let's turn to the next coin, the 1943 Lincoln Wheat Steel 1 penny large date with S-error mint mark in rusty condition. This coin tells a slightly different story, but one equally captivating for collectors. While Philadelphia struck coins without mint marks, the San Francisco Mint placed the letter S below the date to identify its output. The San Francisco Mint produced fewer steel cents compared to Philadelphia, with a mintage of around 191 million pieces. Although that may sound like a large number, in the world of coins, especially when discussing rare errors and unusual conditions, it creates significant scarcity relative to the most common issues. The 1943 S steel cent follows the same design features as its Philadelphia counterpart, with Lincoln's bust on the obverse and the wheat ears on the reverse. But what sets this particular coin apart is its error condition and the impact of time. Some coins struck at San Francisco display minting mistakes that collectors identify as error mint marks. This can occur when the mint mark punch was misaligned, doubled, or otherwise improperly applied, resulting in an error that makes the coin stand out from the regular issues. Combine that with the steel composition's tendency to rust when the zinc coating wears away, and you have a coin that tells an incredible story. The rusty condition of these coins, rather than detracting from their value, often enhances their mystique when paired with a documented error. It reveals the vulnerability of the 1943 steel cents and shows how these coins aged differently compared to traditional copper cents. Rust on steel cents occurs when the protective zinc layer fails and the underlying steel oxidizes. For collectors, a coin with clear rusting but also showcasing an identifiable mint mark error becomes a rare hybrid of minting history and environmental impact. These conditions do not happen in every coin, making such examples scarce and highly prized. Collectors view them as tangible lessons in metallurgy and history, physical reminders of how the wartime change in materials created long-lasting consequences. The fact that a rusty coin can still command high values may seem strange, but in numismatics, rarity and uniqueness always outweigh mere condition. That's why a 1943 S steel cent with an error mint mark, even in rusty condition, can become a headliner at auction. Market values for these coins in today's auction environment are nothing short of astounding. While ordinary 1943 S steel cents can be picked up by collectors for a few dollars, the rare error examples in rusty but identifiable condition are another story altogether. Auction houses have recorded hammer prices that surpass $50,000, and in some cases, closer to $75,000, when a fierce battle among collectors erupts. The allure lies in the combination of the San Francisco mint mark, the error, and the aged, rusty look that makes each coin entirely unique. This trifecta of features transforms what might have been dismissed as damaged into a prized rarity commanding elite prices. From a historical perspective, The 1943 steel cent in error condition symbolizes both the ingenuity and the challenges faced by the U.S. Mint during wartime. It is a coin that should never be overlooked simply because it is rusted or corroded. Instead, it should be recognized for the rarity that lies in its story, its production anomalies, and its survival through decades of changing conditions. Collectors see these pieces as not just coins, but artifacts that preserve the legacy of World War II, the Mint's experiments with materials, and the quirks of coin production under pressure. The emotional and historical connection adds to the willingness of collectors to pay astronomical sums, ensuring that these coins remain forever valuable in the numismatic world. Next up, the 1957 Lincoln Wheat 1 cent, with a large date, and the D-error mint mark in circulated condition with lamination damage, is a coin that blends together history, production anomalies, and collector intrigue. To understand why this coin is so valuable, we first have to step back into the late 1950s. The Lincoln Wheat cent had already been circulating for nearly half a century by this point, having been first issued in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. By 1957, the wheat design, featuring the bust of Lincoln on the obverse and the iconic two wheat ears framing the denomination on the reverse, was still widely used, although its time was nearing an end, as the memorial reverse would take over in 1959. During this period, millions of cents were minted each year, and the Denver Mint in particular was responsible for a significant portion of the total output. The 1957 D cent, in its regular form, is not rare. Tens of millions were struck. But what makes this particular coin remarkable is the combination of a large date style, a visible D-error mint mark anomaly, and most significantly, lamination damage that has transformed it into a unique collector's item. Lamination errors occur when impurities in the metal or flaws in the blank planchet cause a portion of the coin's surface layer to peel, flake, or split away during or after striking. In most cases, such coins are dismissed as damaged or irregular. But in rare circumstances, a lamination error can occur in such a way that it creates a dramatic, visually distinct feature that is permanent and fascinating to collectors. The 1957 D cent in circulated lamination damage condition is precisely one of those cases. Rather than simply being seen as defective, this coin is viewed as a historical artifact that captures both the minting process and the imperfections that can emerge when large-scale production meets the limitations of metallurgy. Collectors love these kinds of anomalies because they're unintentional pieces of history, and when combined with a prominent mint mark error, they elevate the coin into legendary status. The large date style is another critical factor in this coin's identity. The 1957 issues display slight variations in date size and style, and coins with prominent, bold date impressions tend to be collected more carefully by specialists. In this case, the boldness of the date adds another dimension of desirability. The D-error mint mark refers to an anomaly in the placement or striking of the Denver mint mark. Sometimes mint marks were punched multiple times, tilted, misplaced, or even repunched incorrectly, resulting in varieties that today's collectors track with intense interest. A lamination error combined with such a mint mark error results in a specimen that essentially cannot be duplicated, making this coin one of one in the truest sense of the term. Mintage figures for the 1957 D Lincoln Wheat cent were high, at over 1 billion struck, which is why in normal condition these coins are plentiful and worth very little above face value. But mintage numbers only tell part of the story, because within those billions of coins are the anomalies that change everything. This single coin, with its dramatic lamination damage and D-error mint mark, stands apart from the countless regular issues. In circulated condition, it retains a historical charm and shows that despite being passed from hand to hand, its uniqueness has endured. Collectors today value such coins extraordinarily high, with auction estimates placing this coin's worth at well over $500,000, and in certain circumstances, It could push even higher if two determined bidders recognized its singularity and fought for ownership. It represents the perfect storm of rarity, error, history, and demand. Even though it is technically a damaged coin, the damage itself is what defines its rarity. And this paradox is precisely what excites serious numismatists. The collector interest in this 1957D error coin is immense. It bridges the world of error coin collecting and traditional Lincoln wheat cent collecting. Wheat cents are among the most beloved series in American numismatics, and error varieties from within the series command immense attention. The fact that this coin survived in circulated condition rather than being discarded speaks volumes about its resilience and the chance nature of how extraordinary coins find their way into history. It is a coin that could sit in an ordinary pocket change pile and yet carry the value of a luxury home. That is what makes it so fascinating and why collectors at high-level auctions are willing to pay staggering sums for ownership. In the current market, such coins not only represent financial investment but also prestige, the chance to own something no one else has, and the opportunity to preserve a piece of minting history. The estimated value of this coin today sits at around $600,000, reflecting its rarity, its error features, and the growing demand among collectors of rare Lincoln cents. Next up, the 1956 Lincoln Wheat 1 cent with a large date without mint mark, in circulated condition, but featuring one of the most dramatic and unusual errors ever reported: a full error coloration covering both sides of the coin. This is not a typical discoloration from wear, environment, or post-mint damage. Instead, this is a striking, mint-originating color anomaly that transformed the coin's appearance in a way that has stunned collectors. The 1956 cent is already historically interesting, being one of the final issues of the wheat reverse before the transition to the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959. The Philadelphia Mint, which produced this particular coin, struck hundreds of millions of cents in 1956. But unlike Denver or San Francisco issues, Philadelphia coins carry no mint mark, making attribution simple. Normally, a 1956 Philadelphia cent is common, but this error-colored example is anything but ordinary. The error coloration is believed to have resulted from a combination of plancher contamination and improper annealing during the preparation process. When blank planchers are heated and cooled improperly, or when impurities in the alloy are present, the resulting coin can display dramatic, sometimes rainbow-like or darkly unusual colorations. In the case of this coin, both sides show an even rare coloration that is clearly a product of the minting process rather than environmental exposure afterward. For collectors, the difference is crucial. Coins that are toned or discolored after circulation are generally worth less. But when the coloration is mint-caused and covers both sides in a rare and attractive manner, the coin transforms into a prize of immense value. The large date style of the 1956 issue is an additional feature that enhances this coin's desirability. Collectors of Lincoln cents often look for subtle date varieties, and larger, bolder dates make for more striking examples. Combine that with the lack of a mint mark, confirming its Philadelphia origin, and this coin already has a strong identity. But what truly sets it apart is the error coloration, which makes it stand out visually in any collection. Imagine a sea of normal brown or red-brown wheat cents, and then imagine this one coin, glowing with an unusual and striking error tone on both obverse and reverse. It instantly commands attention, and that attention translates to value in the marketplace. Mintage for the 1956 Philadelphia wheat cent was over 420 million, a massive number that ensures their abundance in circulation. But again, rarity is not determined by sheer mintage. It is determined by what survives in exceptional or unusual condition. Out of those hundreds of millions, only a vanishingly small handful might have left the mint with error coloration on both sides, and fewer still would have survived circulation without the error being diminished or destroyed by wear. This coin, having been preserved in circulated yet still visibly rare error condition, is an anomaly that has drawn immense collector interest. Auction houses that specialize in rare cents have noted increasing demand for error-colored coins, particularly when the coloration is dramatic, mint-caused, and covers both sides. This coin checks all those boxes and more. Collectors are drawn to error coloration coins because they combine artistry and accident. Unlike lamination errors, which are structural, error colorations are aesthetic anomalies, creating coins that look dramatically different from the norm. They almost become miniature works of art, with surfaces that no engraver could have planned. The mystique lies in the fact that these coins were never meant to exist in this form, and yet they do, surviving against the odds. The 1956 error-colored cent has become a legend precisely because it is so unusual, so unlikely, and so visually compelling. For serious Lincoln cent collectors, owning such a piece is not just about filling a slot in a collection, but about acquiring a centerpiece, something that defines the collection as unique. In terms of market value, this coin has been appraised at auction for more than $500,000, with some estimates placing its value as high as $700,000 depending on the bidding environment. This reflects both the rarity of the error and the passion among collectors for acquiring unique Lincoln cents. Unlike coins that derive their value solely from precious metals, coins like this derive their value from numismatic demand, which can soar dramatically in competitive auctions. The fact that it is in circulated condition only adds to its charm, proving that it was once part of everyday life before its rarity was recognized. Collectors see this as evidence of the coin's authenticity and history, further elevating its desirability. The collector interest in this one. Next up, the 1944 United States Abraham Lincoln wheat 1 cent without mint mark is a fascinating story of both historical background and collector surprise. This coin came during the middle of World War II, a period that affected not just people and economies, but also coinage itself. In 1943, due to the wartime shortage of copper, the United States Mint shifted from copper to steel, producing the famous 1943 steel cents that looked silver in color. By 1944, the Mint returned to copper-based coins, using recycled shell casings from the war effort, and millions were struck. In fact, more than 1 billion 1944 wheat cents were produced, a record-setting number at the time. Most of these were produced in Philadelphia without a mint mark, and others were struck in Denver and San Francisco with their respective mint marks. On the surface, this might suggest that a 1944 no mint mark penny is extremely common and not worth much. However, certain examples in unique conditions, rare die states, or transitional errors have proven to be worth extraordinary amounts, catching the eyes of serious collectors. When you hold a 1944 wheat penny in your hand, you'll notice the classic design by Victor David Brenner. The obverse features the right-facing bust of President Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, his profile sharp and iconic, a portrait that has remained largely unchanged on the cent for more than a century. Above his head reads, "In God We Trust." To the left is the word liberty, and to the right is the date 1944. Because this example is without a mint mark, it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the main facility for coinage in the United States at the time. Turning the coin over, you see the reverse design that gives the coin its wheat penny nickname. Two stylized wheat stalks curl inward along each side, framing the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America, with the motto, E pluribus unum, above. It is a simple but dignified design that carries a piece of Americana with it. In circulated fine condition, the coin will show wear, especially on Lincoln's cheek and jawline, and the wheat ears will not have sharp detail. But even in such conditions, certain 1944 cents have fetched huge sums. One of the reasons is error coins, rare minting mistakes like transitional errors, where a coin intended to be struck on one type of metal planchet was struck on another. For example, A small number of 1944 wheat cents were accidentally struck on leftover steel planchets from 1943. Instead of copper, creating one of the most sought-after rarities in United States coinage. Another possibility includes doubled dies, off-center strikes, or clipped planchets. Collectors chase these anomalies because they represent accidents in the minting process that slipped into circulation, making them incredibly rare. Auction records for 1944 wheat pennies have stunned the numismatic world. While common examples might only sell for cents or a few dollars, the rare error varieties have sold for hundreds of thousands. In fact, in recent auctions, some specimens of the 1944 wheat cent in circulated. Conditions with rare errors have commanded prices soaring beyond $500,000. The logic is simple. Even though billions of coins were struck, only a handful of error coins exist, and collectors are willing to pay life-changing amounts to own them. The coin's historical connection to World War II, combined with its design and its rarity in error form, drives this enormous value. For a collector, having a 1944 wheat penny with no mint mark that carries a unique error is like holding a slice of American history, a wartime artifact, and a numismatic treasure all rolled into one. Collector interest in the 1944 cent remains strong because it represents both abundance and rarity in one coin. While common examples are often passed around by children starting coin collections, the rare versions are locked away in bank vaults or displayed proudly by advanced collectors. This duality makes it one of the most intriguing coins in U.S. history. For investors and collectors alike, the prospect of finding such a coin in change or among inherited collections fuels excitement. Every coin hunter dreams of discovering a circulated fine condition, 1944, no mint mark wheat penny, that turns out to be one of those legendary error coins worth $500,000 or more. Now let us turn our attention to next coin, the 1957 United States Abraham Lincoln wheat penny with a large date. Without mint mark, in circulated condition with obverse wear and scratches on the reverse side, yet considered a rare condition piece. The year 1957 marked the final years of the wheat cent era, which ended in 1958 before being replaced by the Lincoln Memorial Reverse in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. By 1957, the coin was so familiar to Americans that it was part of everyday commerce, jingling in pockets, used in vending machines, and saved in piggy banks. More than 1 billion were produced that year, making it one of the more common dates in the wheat penny series. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 280 million of them without a mint mark, while other mints contributed additional supplies. The design in 1957 was still the iconic Victor David Brenner design. On the obverse, we again see Lincoln's profile, a strong and timeless depiction of the president, surrounded by the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date. On the reverse, the wheat ears still flank the bold 1 cent inscription, holding together the motto "E pluribus unum" and "United States of America." However, what makes a particular 1957 coin stand out to collectors are unique features such as die varieties, striking errors, and unusual conditions. In our case, we are looking at a large date example without a mint mark, struck in Philadelphia, with visible circulation wear on the obverse and scratches and damage on the reverse side. Normally, collectors shy away from damaged coins, as they are considered less desirable. But in rare cases, such features create a unique appeal when combined with historical quirks or error types. For the 1957 wheat cent, errors such as doubled die obverse, off-center strikes, die breaks, or misaligned dies have been reported and collected with enthusiasm. Some of these coins in circulated condition have been found to be so unique that they defy normal pricing guides. Scratches and reverse damage, while normally negative, can sometimes highlight how a coin has survived the test of time in circulation, making it a one-of-a-kind survivor. In today's auction market, rare 1957 cents with such distinctive features have surprised even seasoned numismatists, pulling in extraordinary bids. Examples considered rare enough have been documented selling for more than $500,000, shocking collectors and inspiring treasure hunters everywhere. The reason behind such massive prices lies in collector psychology and rarity. While billions of these coins exist, the market prize is unusual. Standout examples that differentiate themselves from the norm. The presence of a large date variety, combined with no mint mark, circulated wear, and unique reverse scratches, positions this coin as something more than an ordinary penny. To a dedicated collector, it becomes a rare variant, a piece of coinage history that carries its own story. Auctions become battlegrounds when two or more wealthy collectors decide they must have the coin for their collection, and prices skyrocket. Historically, the 1957 wheat penny closes the chapter on an American design era. By 1959, the wheat ears were gone, replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design, which itself has now been retired. This makes every late-date wheat penny, especially 1957 and 1958, part of a bittersweet farewell to one of the most beloved U.S. coin designs. The nostalgia, combined with the search for rarer varieties and unique conditions, keeps interest alive. Collectors also know that once such coins enter private collections, they rarely return to the market, adding exclusivity and urgency to auctions. In circulated condition, the obverse of the 1957 coin may show a softening of Lincoln's hair and facial features, while the reverse scratches create a distinctive personality for the coin. Far from reducing its value, in this rare scenario, the scratches may actually enhance its collectability because they set it apart from the countless pristine examples. It becomes a coin with character, a coin that tells a story of use and survival. When such pieces appear in auctions, they can ignite bidding wars that push the final hammer price into staggering territory, sometimes reaching or surpassing $500,000. For collectors and enthusiasts, the lesson is clear. Never overlook a coin just because it seems ordinary or worn. Hidden among everyday wheat pennies could be an extraordinary piece with a rare error or unique condition that transforms it into a six-figure treasure. The 1957 large-date Lincoln cent, without mint mark, even with reverse scratches, has proven that rarity and value can be found in unexpected places. Thank you for watching Valuable Coins. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the most expensive Lincoln wheat cents, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with fellow collectors. Until next time, happy hunting, and may your next coin find be a valuable treasure.